Hello again, Howard Bernstein from the First Alert Weather Center tracking Irma, which made a second landfall in Florida during the mid-afternoon around 3:30 came ashore near Marco Island. That is a nice resort area south of, and I've got a lot of nice homes there, but it's south of Naples. But boy, they were just in a really bad spot for this storm. And let me show you what's been happening with it during the day and the afternoon. We've been watching, of course, Jose, which we'll see it linger off the Atlantic for another week or so don't worry about that right now. But Irma, obviously, the bigger problem, and you can see the eye, how it came just east of Key West, moved north, and came ashore near Marco Island, maybe just east of that. And it does show up better on radar here as we go through Sunday. And you see I'm recording this at about 4:24. So the eye, as we zoom in, and you can certainly see the eye wall's in Naples. So Naples is being hammered. We've got tornado warnings, active ones between Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach right on I-95. And we've seen quite a few tornado warnings, but a tornado watch still up for much of the peninsula. As we zoom in and really show you what's going on. So Marco Island is almost on the backside of the eye at 4:24. See this town of Everglades here, Golden Gate right there on I-75, which is Alligator Alley between Naples and Miami. So yeah, that is a place you would not want to be right now. But anyway, the storm is moving off to the north, so Bonita Springs, Fort Myers, Lehigh Acres, it's going to be moving up in that direction. And this track to the east, the slight jog, may be really good news farther north, because the sooner it gets overland, the sooner it starts the weakening process. It's still got plenty of problems, still a very dangerous storm, but it's starting to weaken. And we see the pressure coming up at 940 millibars. Last night it was in 932, 933, moving north of 12 with winds maybe generous, but winds at 115 gusting to 160 from the advisory from the hurricanes. And we're going to get a new advisory coming up here at 5 p.m. So the storm is forecast to track still north-northwest, and I think I would not be surprised if they adjusted that slightly east based upon where it's come ashore. But in any event, the latest track has it near Fort Myers tonight at 8, toward Tampa around 2 a.m., and I think by then it'll be a Cat 1, Cat 2. So it certainly is going through the weakening phase. Toward Monday morning, it'll either be a weak hurricane or a very strong tropical storm, and certainly be a tropical storm by the time it gets into Georgia. Notice Monday the forecast has 45-mile-an-hour winds. Most of the state of Georgia under a tropical storm warning with the arrival of Irma, going to bring rain and some windy conditions, which will cause some power outages and potentially some flooding in a few areas as those heavier rains move into Alabama and Tennessee. And then what's left of Irma, a remnant low, sort of meanders there Wednesday and Thursday, and some of that moisture can potentially be moving toward the Washington region as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. Storm surge, that's come down a little bit north, but those areas, Fort Myers to Naples and points south, still looking at that 9, 10 foot, maybe higher storm surge, and that's a real concern for those areas. That's why the mandatory evacuations. Tampa Bay, not as bad as yesterday, but still bad at 6 to 9 feet. Yesterday, when we were looking at the projected storm surge, they were 10 to 12 feet and higher. So it's come down a little bit and still looking at a decent storm surge on the upper Gulf Coast on the west side of Florida from Crystal River toward Cross City and those areas. And even on the East Coast, we're looking at several feet of water from the winds coming out of the east, piling the Atlantic up along the coast. Let's talk the winds, the hurricane force winds right now. And you can see them out there. They're extending from the center. What is that, about 60 miles or so from the center. That's pretty good. These other winds, the orange winds, those would be maybe gust 2 hurricane force and severe thunderstorm. They're about 115 miles from the center. And just to show you the winds from the center to the north, that's over 200. That's 200, almost 200 miles to the west. Not as far, but 170 to the southwest. So you've got tropical storm force winds stretching over a 400-mile diameter there. So that's big. Anyway, the storm's going to be moving up to the north and northwest. Tonight, the hurricane force winds at 9:30 from Naples and approaching Tampa. So it looks like maybe 8, 9, 10 hours of hurricane force winds. Tampa doesn't get out of it till 5:30, 6 a.m. And then those hurricane force winds just may clip Gainesville in the morning before the storm starts to wind down. We might have hurricane force winds toward or just east of Tallahassee over to Lake City late morning, midday Monday before the storm really starts to wind down over land. So what do we know about Irma? Irma is now weakening with the land interaction. It's also going to get some wind shear. So the winds are increasing in the upper levels, and tropical systems don't do very well at all in that sort of environment. Still quite dangerous, though, We've got a lot of hazards we're worrying about. Life-threatening surge, 10 to 15 feet. We're also worrying about flash flooding, the tornado threat and those feeder bands, and that's going to persist through the night into Monday morning. And the good news, it should be a tropical storm no later than noon Monday and continue to weaken as it leaves Florida through the southeast, Georgia, as we saw Alabama and Tennessee, and then into the Ohio Valley. That is the latest on Irma. I'm meteorologist Howard Bernstein.